Now, one of the effects of climate change is more extreme weather down here on Earth. But according to new research, there's likely to be little respite if you're 30,000 feet in the air. The Newsroom's JonathanSavage reports.
If you're flying on a transatlantic flight, one of the things that affects your journey time is the jet stream, currents of air at high altitudes that will either speed up your flight if you have a tailwind or slow you down in a headwind. These currents can reach speeds of 400 kilometers per hour. But in jet streams, there's another more noticeable effect. What's called vertical shear causes the turbulence that can make part of your journey uncomfortably bumpy. A team from England's University of Reading believes that climate change is responsible for a 15% increase in vertical shear since 1979. Professor Paul Williams, who led the research, says the effect goes beyond bumpy flights.
Suppose a plane is taking off and let's say there is 2 or 3 times more turbulence in the atmosphere. That means it's more likely to have to try and fly around these patches of turbulence, and that will, of course, extend the journey times and could lead to delayed arrivals. And of course, if the plane is in the air for longer, that means it's burning more fuel, which means there's an economic cost as well, which will presumably be passed on to passengers. And then, of course, planes being in the air for longer puts more CO2 into the atmosphere.
The aviation industry accounts for about 2% of global CO2 emissions. According to analysis by the British newspaper The Guardian, a single flight from London to Edinburgh generates more carbon dioxide than a person in Uganda or Somalia produces in a whole year. Professor Williams fears there are more revelations to come.
The fact that this change has been going on to the jet stream above our heads for the past 40 years without anyone noticing until this week when we published our study, it does make me wonder, what are the other ways in which the climate is changing that we haven't yet realised because the people just haven't done the right study and looked in the right place yet?
His team are among those who fear for the future. They assume that unless drastic action is taken on climate change, the amount of severe turbulence in the atmosphere could triple by the year 2080.
JonathanSavage. An inquest into